The work of Lacan centers around his extensive rereading of Freud in the light of linguistics and structuralism. Lacan reformulates in linguistic terms Freud's account of the Oedipus complex. Freud had assumed that the infant's desire for its mother is prohibited by the father, who threatens the infant with castration. Faced with this threat, the infant represses his desire, thereby opening up the dimension of the unconscious, which is for Lacan a relation to the social world of law, morality, religion, and conscience. According to Freud, the child internalizes through the father's commands what Lacan calls the law of the father, the appropriate standards of socially acceptable thought and behavior. Freud calls these standards internalized as conscience in the child's superego. The child now identifies with the father, sliding into his own gendered role in the knowledge that he too is destined for fatherhood. The repressed desire continued to exert its influence on conscious life. As Lacan writes, this process, the child, in passing from the imaginary to the symbolic order, continues to long for the security and wholeness it previously felt. It is no longer in full possession of its mother and of entities in the world. Rather, it is distinguished from them in and through a network of signification. The child's desire, as Lacan explains it, passes in an unceasing movement along an infinite chain of signifiers, in search of unity, security, of ultimate meaning in an ever-elusive signified, and immaturely clinging to the fictive notion of unitary selfhood that began in the imaginary phase. The child exists in an alienated condition, its relationships with objects always highly mediated and controlled by social structures at the heart of whose operations is language. Lacan rejects any notion that the mind of either child or adult has any intrinsic psychical unity. It is merely a subject rather than a self or ego, merely the occupant of an always moving position in the networks of signification. The unconscious is structured like a language. It is as much a product of signifying systems and is itself as much a signifying system as the conscious mind. Both are like language in their openness, their constant deferral of meaning, their susceptibility to changing definition, and their constitution as a system of relations. The subject is empty fluid and without an axis or sender, and is always recreated in his encounter with the other, with what exceeds his own nature and grasp. The individual's relation to objects is mediated by desire and struggle.